Thank you very much for inviting me to this district team training seminar. It's a great privilege and it's also a great opportunity for me to be with you. Even though far away, modern technology has made it not too difficult for us to continue to communicate despite the COVID-19 pandemic. All of you are aware of how far we have come as far as polio eradication in Nigeria and in Africa, and indeed the world, have been since we started this program more than 30 years ago. It is gratifying that with the work of all Rotarians in Nigeria, we have reached, the major milestone we're looking for, which is certification of Africa as a polio-free country, as a result of Nigeria being removed from the list of polio endemic countries. Now, what we have to do is to thank all of you, Rotarians at every level, Rotarians at club level, Rotarians at the district level, and of course, we should thank Rotarians from all over the world, without whom we would have not been able to reach this milestone, because it took a concerted effort to raise all the funds that are necessary to do this, perform all the advocacy. And of course, our thanks to our GPI partners, WHO, UNICEF, the Center for Disease Control, CDC, and our other non-GPI partners, the Dangote Foundation, Semeko Foundation, and a host of others who have brought us to this level. Now, we started, as all of you know, at the time in 1985 when we had 125 countries ravaged by the polio virus in virtually all the continents of the world. And polio was paralyzing, on the average, 1,000 children every day. We've come a long way from that. We just barely have 2 countries that are still polio endemic, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And we have much, much less cases than we used to have. Last year, we ended up with 140 cases of polio in Afghanistan and Pakistan. But then, even 140 cases is a lot of cases. It represents children whose life has been changed as a result of the polio virus, making them unable to fulfill their full potential as adults and contributing to the economy. We have, over this course of time, spent over $20 billion for this effort, using about 20 million volunteers, including Rotarians, and we have vaccinated 3 billion children. That's a huge feat. In this effort, we have saved 1.5 million lives. And just to reassure us that we're on the right track and we're going to get this job done, we started with 3 variants of the wild polio virus, type 1, 2, and 3. We have just 1 type left, which is type 1. And that too, end is coming. So now, currently this year, as against last year, we're seeing predictably much less cases in the last 1.5 months. As a matter of fact, we saw much less cases in the second half of 2020 than we did in the first half of 2020 in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Of course, we have no more cases of the wild polio virus. And a lot of work got us here. How did we manage to get here? What were our thematic areas of activity? Advocacy. I think one of the main things the Rotarians bring to GPI partnership is our unique ability to be in every part of the country. Like MTN advertises, every corner you go, we're there. That has helped us in reaching the leadership at every level. Political leadership, traditional leadership, and religious leadership. And advocacy is key. Anytime you want to do an intervention, it is key that those who are going to be beneficiaries appreciate what we're trying to do, support what we're trying to do, and now become advocates themselves. So that's the first thematic area. The second thematic area is creating awareness continuously for people to know this is something we need to do, this is something we need to complete. And I think we've done a good job of doing that. That is how we got to where we are now, of a polio-free Nigeria. The next is, of course, money. This project started with a budget of 120 million US dollars to eradicate polio by the year 2000. We have since gone far beyond that. As I mentioned earlier, we've expended more than 20 billion US dollars in the effort. Of that amount, Rotary has raised, including the Gates March, 2.1 billion. And we'll continue to require funds. We'll continue to require funds because even in Nigeria, some of you are aware, we have been doing outbreak responses. In the next few weeks, we're going to do National Immunization Days, and outbreak response will continue to be part of the program as long as we have vaccine-derived poliovirus. Then the fourth part of our thematic areas of activities, of course, field activities. And I want to thank all of you who have taken your time and your energy and your resources to actually be in the field to supervise, observe, and support immunization activities in the field. So a big thank you to you on behalf of the children of Nigeria. We face a lot of challenges, but Rotarians and our volunteers have been undaunting in their efforts. Rotarians and their partners and their volunteers, we have made sure that that precious drop reaches the mouth of every child in every part of the country, no matter what the challenges are. Challenges of inaccessibility, challenges of weather, challenges of floods. We have braved the storm. We have taken the vaccine to the children on bicycles, on donkeys, on motorboats, on dugout canoes, indeed wading through flood waters. Now, this is what Rotarians are very good at doing. We look at challenges, we strategize, and overcome those challenges. That's how we got to where we got into. As a matter of fact, at some point in Borno State, we had to fly by helicopter from town to town to look at IDP camps, to support immunization activities, and to support IDP camps, with, food and other necessary essential items. That is how far we go in this effort. And I want to appreciate and thank all Rotarians for this effort. What is now going to be our next action point? It is to ensure that we do not lose the gains that we have made. The gains we have made has enabled us to get to this point. We have had the opportunity to reach the highest level of the leadership, visiting the villa, advocating with the president, and appreciating the president for the work he has done in supporting polio, physically by immunizing his grandchildren, and also putting his money where his mouth is, providing funds for the program. Our efforts to ensure that our funds are judiciously spent ensures that we pass our funds mostly through UNICEF and WHO to ensure transparency and accountability. Our roadworks has helped us to provide public awareness in promoting immunization. But we still have challenges ahead. As I mentioned earlier, vaccine-derived poliovirus still plagues parts of West Africa, East Africa, and also the Horn of Africa. Including Nigeria, we've had at least 2 cases of vaccine-derived in Nigeria. That is why some of you may have participated in recent outbreak responses. One is going to come up from the 6th of March, which is going to be the first time we're going to use a new vaccine, which is the novel oral polio vaccine, which is designed specifically to outflank the circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus. We'll roll it out on the 6th, and it will be the first time we're using that vaccine in Nigeria, courtesy of the efforts of Rotary and the funding of the Gates Foundation. We need to sustain this political will. We need to continue advocating to our political leaders to stay the course. This is going to be a bigger challenge now that political leaders will tell us we have more important things to do. We have more urgent things to do. But we do not want to lose steam. We do not want the virus to come back through the back door by sub-optimally immunizing our children. So we need to ensure that routine immunization continues and we get adequate political will to support outbreak responses and also the national immunization days that will be coming up. What Rotarians must continue to do will be to raise funds, particularly to meet the Gates challenge, continue our advocacy efforts, but in our own way, create awareness through the media. A lot of us have abilities and vocations related to the media. We can use the radio, TV talk shows, roadwalks, and other special events. But quite importantly is that at every club level, we must establish a Polio Plus structure. In other words, have a Polio Plus committee with at least 3 members who will help in energizing the membership to do all those things I mentioned earlier. Advocacy, creating awareness, raising funds, and actually physically participating in immunization activities when the need arises. Now, we have committed ourselves to keep polio at 0 in Nigeria. Have you, as a person, as a Rotarian, have you donated to the Polio Plus Fund of the Rotary Foundation? Have you participated in any immunization activity? Have you promoted polio eradication through the print, electronic, and social media? I think these are pertinent questions to ask yourself. And if you haven't, this is the time to do so. We surely are at the end of the road as far as the wild polio virus is concerned. It is going to be eradicated. Don't be left out. Be part of history. So let us continue to ensure that we keep polio at 0 by continuing advocacy and participating in immunization activities. I cannot finish this talk without talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on our polio eradication. We had to pause our polio eradication activities to ensure that we meet with COVID protocols and not spread the infection. But then we have come back since July to start our efforts at immunizing children again. And what have we done to support the government's effort and support our communities? Most of you will have participated in distribution of food palliatives to less privileged people, particularly when there was the initial shutdown. We provided masks. You all have seen communication activities using flyers, virtual billboards, and also TV appearances. But now the crucial aspect of the COVID-19 pandemic we've come to is the vaccine advocacy. We have been assured that we will soon receive our first batch of vaccines. But all of you know that there are segments of our society who are, for various reasons, afraid, to take this vaccine. I think we owe it, to our country to advocate and let people know and assure them of the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. And that one way we will get out of this pandemic unscathed is taking the vaccine when it becomes available. But until then, our safest vaccine is observing the COVID-19 protocols. Wear your masks when you are out of your bubble, essentially out of your house. Wear your mask anytime you are in a group of people, particularly where commingling is impossible and you cannot avoid it. Avoid indoor gatherings as much as possible. Have gatherings outside where you can be well spaced and where there's good movement of air. And most important also is to ensure that you don't just use one protocol, which is wearing your mask, and then you're careless with your hands. Wash your hands or use hand sanitizers regularly. All of these things work together. Leaving one out makes the whole effort very inefficient and sometimes, useless. So until the vaccines get rolled out, our greatest protection and assurance is to ensure that we wear our masks, particularly when we're out of our homes, and to avoid gatherings indoors, particularly when they are crowded with very little ventilation. So, we're going to be here by the grace of God when the pandemic is over, but we need to do our bit to keep it at bay. We want to ensure that we continue doing all those things we've been doing that got us to zero polio level. We want to keep polio out of Nigeria, and the best way to do it is to continue doing what we've been doing before. Routine immunization. Also supplementary immunization, which is the house-to-house vaccine. And to support wherever we are, the primary healthcare centers to provide routine immunization, particularly for polio for our children. That way, we will fulfill our promise to the children of the world of a world without the wild polio virus that will forever never paralyze any child again. Thank you for listening.